Hello and welcome to The Current. I'm Erica Lee. There are 50 days until the presidential inauguration.
And I'm Sophie Flay. The election may be over, but the politicking hasn't stopped. Let's get you caught up with all the latest headlines. Donald Trump has succeeded in accomplishing one of his campaign promises. The Carrier Air Conditioning Company in Indiana announced that it plans to keep 1,000 jobs in the United States instead of outsourcing them to Mexico. However, the deal is not without controversy. A Carrier spokesperson said the company will receive $7 million in state tax breaks, and reportedly several hundred jobs will still be lost to outsourcing. In California, Governor Jerry Brown has chosen Congressman Xavier Becerra to be the state's next attorney general. The position opened after Kamala Harris was elected to the United States Senate. Becerra will be the state's first Latino attorney general. Coming up later in our show, we'll be speaking with two senators from the undergraduate student government about the sanctuary campus resolution that recently passed. You can comment with any questions you have for them on our Facebook page.
Since Trump's election, the stock market has been record highs. The Dow closed at 19,191 today, its highest point ever. The Nasdaq slipped a little, falling to 5,251 points. We wanted to find out more about the rally in the market and whether it will continue. We checked in with one USC professor who thinks we may need to wait and see about the economy under Trump.
So there's a few reasons that have been fueling this in the immediate aftermath of the election. One is an assumption that Trump is going to push a big infrastructure bill, which is going to be good for a lot of construction firms, steel companies, all the people who supply a lot of the sort of nuts and bolts of the infrastructure. And that there might also be some deregulation in the finance industry, which has propelled, for example, Goldman Sachs stock to record highs. This is really a short-term reaction to a political event. It's not reflective of changes in the way that the economy is working, and that's the real test, and that only comes with time.
Some analysts think tax cut and new spending on infrastructure might lead to inflation, and that's caused mortgage rates to also go up significantly since Trump's election.
Right now, there are two recounts in progress, one on hold and one about to begin. Wisconsin started a recount today. Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump there by only 27,000 votes. The recount was filed and funded by Green Party candidate Jill Stein and will cost at least $3.5 million. Voters in Pennsylvania have filed recount petitions in 100 of the over 9,000 precincts. Clinton lost to Trump in Pennsylvania by about 70,000 votes. In Michigan, where just 10,000 votes separate Trump from Clinton, a recount filed by Stein was put on hold today after Trump's campaign objected. It is unlikely that these recounts will change the result of the election. Clinton would have to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in order to win their combined 36 Electoral College votes. Right now, Donald Trump has 306 Electoral College votes and Hillary Clinton has 232. The popular vote is still being counted right now. Hillary Clinton is beating President-elect Donald Trump by 2.5 million votes.
We're learning more about who will be in positions of power under the new administration. USC Annenberg fellow Mark M. Binder took a closer look at the people who may have the biggest influence on the president-elect.
Donald Trump's circle of influence can be broken down best into three groups. First, Donald Trump's family. His daughter Ivanka, 35 years old, successful businesswoman in her own right, in a way is Donald Trump's bridge to liberals and moderates, her signature issue, climate change. And then Ivanka's husband, Donald's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, a publisher who managed to find the best Silicon Valley digital marketers to help Donald Trump win the election. You can be sure that he has his father's ear. Then, campaign loyalists. First among them, Kellyanne Conway, who came on to run Donald Trump's campaign and be his chief public spokesperson when really nobody else would. Then, General Mike Flynn. He was fired by Barack Obama and found in Donald Trump someone who hangs on his every word. He's now Trump's national security advisor. There's Steve Bannon, the publisher of Breitbart, who helped rally the alt-right behind Donald Trump. And finally, Reince Priebus, now Trump's chief of staff, he was the head of the Republican National Committee. When every other Republican was abandoning Donald Trump, Reince Priebus sat there and said, you know what, we're going to stick with him. And then Trump's cabinet picks. First among them, Jeff Sessions, the senator from Alabama who will be the Attorney General. Sessions was one of the first senators, only senators, to endorse Donald Trump. There's Congressman Tom Price, a doctor, a vocal opponent of Obamacare, who, as head of the Department of Health and Human Services, will oversee its dismantling. And then Steve Mnuchin, who's one of Donald Trump's longtime friends, tapped to head the Department of Treasury. Mnuchin is a partner at Goldman Sachs. The glue that holds all of these spheres of influence together is Trump's vice president, Mike Pence. Pence has the trust of Trump's campaign loyalists, his family, and he's been essential in recruiting Republicans from across the firmament to Trump's emerging cabinet. So here's a bit of advice. If you want to figure out what Donald Trump is going to do, pay less attention to what Donald Trump says and more attention to what Mike Pence does.
Today, Trump appointed General James Mattis to serve as Secretary of Defense.
USC undergraduate student government passed a resolution on Tuesday urging the administration to protect undocumented immigrants. This comes after a letter signed by thousands of students and faculty lobbying for USC to become a sanctuary campus. I spoke with one law professor who explains the risk USC and others would be taking if they go against the federal law.
The concerns that some people have is whether or not the federal government is going to be able to perhaps limit or cancel, withdraw federal funding to the university. This is a debate that the city of Los Angeles is going to be having as well, whether or not the federal government, would be able to withhold funding from a state, local government, or a university if that local entity declares itself to be a sanctuary, location of some sort.
Under the Obama administration, many children who came to the United States without documentation were protected under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. Trump has said he opposes the program. This leaves thousands of young people at risk, including this documented student at USC.
If we were in need of legal support, would USC help us? How would they guide us? How would they provide that safety? Because we are students, and I personally am undocumented and I have DACA, but I don't feel like I necessarily have any kind of safety with that at the moment, because we don't know what's going to happen when he comes into presidency.
USC Provost Michael Quick said in a statement that the university supports the DACA program, but also said that the university will comply with federal law. I'm here with Lena Danpour and Daniel Newman. Both are USG's undergraduate student government senators. Thank you both for being here.
Of course, thank you.
So I have to ask, Daniel, you voted yes, and Lena, you voted no. Why did you guys both choose your sides, and why?
You can go first.
Okay, so I voted no on the resolution because the resolution was asking administration to not comply with federal law. And I believe that if that action were to be taken, then there would be a lot of consequences, like losing federal funding. And nowhere in the resolution did it state how the administration would be able to compensate for the loss of federal funds.
What do you think about that, Daniel, complying with federal law?
So that was actually one of the points that I was considering coming in. Speaker and Senator Samaha actually spoke to this and talked about how no campus has ever been, gotten funds taken away because of passing a sanctuary campus resolution. And so that kind of basically made me realize that we really have an obligation to protect these students and all Trojans.
And this was during the debate that the
Correct.
USG senators had.
Correct.
What did you think about that during?
So what I believe is that what Senator Samaha said as of now could be correct, but until the new administration is in power, basically, we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't know whether or not he will withdraw federal funds, but that has been one of the main consequences that needs to be considered.
So only time can tell.
Exactly.
So what would you both have to say to your fellow USC students who are going through this process, who are undocumented?
Well, I would say that USG definitely has your back. Administration has your back. We are all working actively to protect this community that is a community that's very vulnerable, but also very, very dear to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all Trojans. We're all here to protect each other. There's no question about that. We'll just have to see where the administration takes it from here. One thing is that I believe like the law is the law, so that would you would have to take that up with the president-elect. But for the USC administration, as far as they go, I believe in the provost's statement, he said that they would have to comply with federal law, and that's something that I pointed out before.
What about USG's administration? What are USG's next steps towards this?
Go ahead.
So we have a general protocol with all resolutions that we pass. We definitely give it to some administrators, and the senators who usually author the resolution usually end up following through with these administrators to make sure this actually happens.
Okay, thank you so much. Back to you, Sophie.
President Obama has only 49 days left in office. We asked some USC students how they feel about him leaving.
I think I'm definitely gonna miss like the amount of like the coolness that he kind of brought to the White House. Like he seemed like a very the character that he portrayed was someone who's very with the times, with the trends, wants to be someone who is there to listen.
I think it's the culture he brought to like the White House and to this country in general. It's very refreshing and different.
Since I'm turning 20 now, that marks the end of my adulthood, and it also marks the end of Barack's term. So I guess all good things come to an end, but there's always going to be a new chapter coming up soon. So
I am so upset about Barack Obama leaving office. I feel like my heart is leaving with him, and I just hope that someday, I don't know, we'll see more of him somehow.
President Obama is expected to remain in Washington after his term ends. President-elect Donald Trump will take the oath of office on January 20th, 2017.
Thanks for watching The Current. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Erica Lee.
And I'm Sophie Flay. You can watch us on the USC Annenberg Media Facebook page or on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.